Joe Miller,
Yes.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us here at the Catholic booth. We're live here at CMC recording this. Joe, I'll just do a quick introduction, is the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Focus. And we're so glad you're going to sit down with us for a few minutes.
Great to be here and looking forward to talking about Focus and all things Catholic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think everyone knows Focus at this point, but for those that don't, tell us just generally who Focus is.
Sure. Focus started in 1998 with a specific mission of reaching out to university and college students, and that we would send young people that were recent graduates from college out to these different universities around the country. Most people think, well, what, Catholic universities? No, mostly not Catholic universities. Primarily big state schools, University of Nebraska, University of Virginia, and some big name private schools like Harvard. MIT is a Focus school. But then, a lot of other, everything in between. We're on over 200 campuses now.
Wow.
With over 1,000 missionaries.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How long have you been with Focus?
I've been with Focus a couple of different times.
Okay.
I started as a board member in 2000. And then I came on board as an employee from 2008 to 2012. Left to go work with Father Spitzer as his executive director for the Magis Center of Reason and Faith for 9-10 years, and then came back to Focus. I've been back with Focus now for about 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the journey.
Oh, yeah. That I'm not alone in that. That we have many boomerang employees at
I'm sure.
Focus. Yeah.
So 1989, that's when Focus was
1998.
1998.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about this. At this point, there's been a couple generations since the founding of Focus. And, the first thing I think of with Focus is campuses, college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are really trying to produce resources and have more of a presence at parishes. We have many parishes listening to this that might be interested, and that might pique their ears. Pique their interest. They might even be, parochial vicars or now parish priests that were Focus missionaries at some point. Could you talk about that that new drive to getting into parishes, and what is Focus trying to do with parishes?
Sure. Before I get to that, I would mention, because you said generational.
Yeah.
We actually do have a generational thing going on right now. We have Focus children of original Focus missionaries that are now Focus missionaries.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we've done a kind of a neat video a couple years ago at Seek with John Zimmer and his son Zach, who is a current missionary. John Zimmer is one of our vice presidents, still on staff. But it was really cool that to see what that next generation coming in and taking on things. Brock Martin.
Yes,
we're gonna transition into the parish issue. Brock Martin, Curtis Martin's son, is our vice president of Parish.
Yes,
and it's a real emphasis within Focus right now is to expand our parish presence. We started out at a couple of parishes almost 8 years ago now. One is St. James in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Another one is St. Raymond's in Menlo Park. We've been there for quite a while. But we have Focus presence at about 25 parishes, actual Focus people at about 25 parishes. And we're doing other things associated with parishes that bring that number up, but with real people actually living in the parish, living and working in the parish, about 25 parishes now.
Wow. And you guys are looking to expand that. So if any parishes might be interested, there's more coming to this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one way that we expanded is if we have people that are kind of aging out of campus work. You can only be a campus missionary for so long. You get into a different place in life, and it's more difficult to relate with college freshmen.
Of course.
Right? But in a parish, obviously, you have a wide age range, and I'll use St. James up in Arlington Heights as an example. That we're going up there in a month or so to do some filming about what's happened in that parish for the 8 years now, I believe Focus has been there. And we're choosing stories from retired people to young families and even talking to some of their children, maybe teens at this particular point in time. But that's a completely different shift from from 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yes.
Now it's from all ages. And so those folks that are there, I mean, if you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, maybe even a little older, you can still get involved in Focus at your parish. You can still lead, be a Focus leader at your parish. Yeah.
Wow. Even if you were never a college missionary back in the day, you could still get involved.
You can still get involved.
Wow.
And that's the key to Focus in general, is that what we call spiritual multiplication. It's basically the idea that Jesus worked very closely, very intentionally with a few, and that those few went on to work with additional numbers, and it grew and grew until 300 years later. All of the Western world was Christian, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And your core mission is still there. Focus is intent on making missionary disciples for Christ, and to your point, following that model that Christ modeled for us of having that multiply. And so, practically, what is that looking like in parishes? Is it Bible studies? Is it Focus, events? What is that looking like practically?
Yeah, it varies, but always Focus is focused on this kind of interpersonal, and you can call it Bible studies, you can call it small groups, but you need something that's we'll call it scheduled and regular, that people can participate in. It's one thing that to kind of through osmosis spread the word. But if I have a structured Bible study once a week, let's say for example, that people can participate in, then maybe in that Bible study I recognize somebody that is exceptionally on fire, is learning. I can go to that person then and say, how would you like to lead your own study? So, because you don't want to grow the study in terms of, if you've got 8 people in the study, you don't want to grow it to 80. It's no longer a small group, right? There's a need for, the big teaching kind of situations, and we do that. We have 24,000 people that come to Seek the last couple of years,
right?
But really, our little way of evangelization is how we relate to it and how we term it. Is that this is one on several, or one with a few, and then from that it's a win, build, send model. So the send model is, how would you like to go and do what I'm doing now? And this basically was how Jesus operated, but it was the way that the Jewish rabbis operated in general. This whole discipleship model, and it was very effective at that point in time. No mass communications, no media. It was pretty much everything was spread through word of mouth, and that depth of personal engagement and personal mentoring and interaction. It's really hard to, or maybe you could say impossible to do any other way.
It's so true. I mean, digital has its limitations. It's a great starting point, but there becomes a point where you need the human element.
Absolutely.
And you can't lose sight of that.
Yep.
So I'm so glad you guys are getting involved at parishes. Now, you also have some digital content and resources available. I mean, you and I have been talking for a while, and we're hoping it'll come to fruition soon of having some of these resources available through the eCatholic platform. But could you talk about some of that? And I know a lot's in the works right now. There's Seek Replay. Could you talk about some of the other digital resources that are available to parishes that are interested in incorporating Focus into their parish?
Yeah. Well, to begin with, we have the standard, social media. We have our website, which has got a lot of good material on it. We have a regular newsletter called On Mission that people can subscribe to. So this would be pretty much what people are doing nowadays to communicate with others out there across the web, if you will. In addition to that, we have what we call, you just mentioned, Seek Replay. And Seek Replay began as just rebroadcasting the Seek Talks on a YouTube channel. And all of a sudden we found out that more people than maybe we expected were rewatching or watching for the first time those talks that were at Seek. So a year ago, we decided to create an app, a Seek Replay app, so that you'd have easy access to all of the talks, right? And now what we're doing is we're actually adding additional content besides the talk, and there's multiple ideas besides the Seek Talks, but there's multiple ideas of what that might be, what that might look like. We have a unique situation with Focus where we have this kind of live engagement that we've been discussing, and one of the things that I've kind of analyzed over the last year, our presence on social, web, etc. And the thing that is really interesting is that when you compare Focus to Catholic media companies, that the Catholic media companies have a lot more followers, a lot more web visitors, maybe an order of magnitude more in some cases. But what Focus has, which is really cool based on what we are trying to do with the depth, is we have the highest engagement rates across social, our website. We have high open rates on our emails. That people are, we're starting to see lots of viral posts. This is kind of new for us. Every once in a while, we get something that would be in the hundreds of thousands or maybe even 1 million views on, one of the platforms, Instagram or TikTok or something like that. But now we're seeing that more and more frequently as more and more people are engaging with the content. But specifically to your question, I think the Seek Replay app, which may get a new name because it's being broadened beyond Seek itself, is the thing that we really think will provide the most intimate, kind of exclusive Focus experience that you can get without actually being with Focus at a parish or a campus or at Seek or a mission trip, something like that.
That's so cool. So I think, one of the takeaways here is we can expect to see more resources, more of a push of Focus getting involved in parishes. We talked about now 1998. So there's generations going on here. There's those former Focus missionaries that are ready to be reactivated. You guys are doubling down in parishes to make intentional disciples. It's so exciting. And I'm really glad that you guys are tackling that head on. Before we wrap up, I know that, our listeners might know we have our Engage virtual summit coming up in October 21st and 22nd. And Focus is going to have quite a presence there. We have Curtis Martin speaking. We have Brock speaking. We're going to try to twist your arm and see if we can have Joe Miller add to the lineup as well. But, I just want to say it's been really, really great collaborating with you guys. You guys do phenomenal work at Focus. So thank you for everything you do. Before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh, I would just encourage anybody that lives near Columbus or Denver or Fort Worth to attend Seek 26,
yes,
which would be at the beginning of January. Even if you don't live that close, we've got 3 locations this year, and it's going to be, and we've got a great speaker lineup that there'll be. If anyone's been to a Seek before, they know the experience is unreal in terms of that's just the Holy Spirit presence at these events. And it can be a game changer, especially if you bring somebody that may be on the fence, somebody that's thinking about, I'm spiritual but not religious.
Yeah.
Those kind of people. Yeah.
3 locations.
Yeah.
So last year you had 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And are all 3 going on at the same time in January?
They're all simultaneous, and that there may be some interaction between the locations, but really they're self-enclosed. And rarely, but occasionally, we'll have a speaker, like say a Father Mike Schmidt, speak at more than one.
Wow.
Yeah, he'll jump on an airplane and fly for the next day to a different one.
That's amazing. So you're not going to necessarily lose out if you're really trying to hone in and find Father Mike Schmidt. He might be a 2.
He might be a 2.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Enjoy the rest of CMC. And like I said, I love this budding partnership that eCatholic and Focus have, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely. We're excited as well.
Excellent. Thanks for your time, Joe.
You're welcome. Thank you.